What is happening? What is happening, Steeler Nation? What's happening, people? People. What did I just say right there? Got tongue twisted. I was trying to say family and people at the same time. What is happening, family? What's happening, good people? I am glad and happy to be back for another episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. So welcome to the latest episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. I am your host, SimFBallCritic, live from the Steel Basement. Welcome, everybody. Super glad to be back. And super glad to be back. How's everybody been doing, man? I hope you guys have been well. You guys know I've been away. I've been on vacation. And it's time to get right back into it. I come back at a perfect time, right? Training camp opens up tomorrow. I mean, we couldn't plan it any better. And hold on, guys. Give me just 1 second, because there's one other topic that I wanted to add to my notes here to make sure I don't forget it. But how are you all, man? Is everybody good? Is everybody good? 1 second. Oh. Okay. For some reason, I don't have it in my notes. But what I will do, let me pause myself here. What I will do is add it. I'm going to add it here in the description of the video. And then we'll get right to it. But I don't want to forget it. Y'all know how I do. It's real time, dog. We do it in real time. All right, here we go. All right, here we are. All right, now I'm back to you guys. What's happening, man? How's everybody doing? Again, please forgive me, guys, if for any reason you see any stuttering. It looks like it's good now, but it's a new camera. I've had a new camera for quite some time, but I'm just now using the new lens. This is the lens that I bought for my camera. I never used it before. I was just using the stock lens. You know, you guys who are used to cameras, I was just using the kit lens that came with it, and that was working pretty good, right? But I decided today, I said, you know what, let me throw the new lens on, man, just so I can get adjusted to it. But again, in typical SimFBallCritic fashion, I just threw it on there. Haven't had time to really adjust the settings, so the lighting might be a little too bright, the white balance and all of that kind of stuff. And my shutter speed was all off, so I was dragging a little bit, so I kind of adjusted that in real time. So if you see anything funny like that, my bad. I'm getting everything together. I was going to sit back there. Just to let you guys know, I will be sitting back here pretty soon. You know, I'm going to give it a new look. Instead of being right in you guys' faces, I'm going to be back on the couch chilling. And just give it a fresh new look. I'm going to get some stuff on the wall back there. So at least wanted to let you guys know what was coming, because I had been telling y'all for quite some time that, I was going to have a kind of a new look. So that's kind of the perspective I'm going to take going forward. And I'm just trying to figure out how I will still do the phone calls and such. You know, maybe when we do the phone calls, I come back up here, flip the scene, and I come back and get close and personal with you guys so I can, adjust the phone cue. But that's all. I know I'm doing a lot of rambling, but I missed you guys. I really did miss you guys. I miss doing what we do. So let's get right to it, man. And here we go. I'm going to throw the timer on really quick. I'm going to try to beat this tonight. It's just me and my son. My wife had to go out of town for work for a couple days. So it's just me and my son. I don't want him, by himself too long. Right now, he's right behind me in the extended man cave, if you will, the other part of the basement. He's playing his Oculus. So that's what he's doing. But let's get to the video, man. Let's get into it. Let's say hello to the early commenters. Jared Devil, Todd Christian. Some of you guys got some comments there. Luis D, the infamous Tim, Mark Cunningham, my man Ron Simpson Gaming. Hello, Miss Lanisha. How you doing tonight, Miss Lady? Always happy and great to see you in the chat. And hold on, guys. I told y'all this is real time. This light is blowing me, man. It's too bright. I'm gonna have to turn down my ISO, but I might be able to adjust it with my key light here just a little bit. There we go. It was just too bright. I'm gonna get all that worked out. I'm on Bozeman. Dietrich Bundick. Who else we got up in here? Joshua Shields. Zuri Rivers. Who else is up in the building tonight? Boss Una. Miss Destiny. Hello, Destiny in the building. Destiny and Lanisha. Make sure, guys, y'all know the routine. Take time to say hello to our lovely ladies in the chat. What's happening? Happy to see you, lovely ladies. Who else we got in here? Big Marv. Darren Covington. Claude Bishop. Vista Light. Who else? Ali Howard in the building. David Jones Jr. He says life is good. I can't argue with that. You are absolutely correct. Jim Inman. Who else? James Tresvant. And I guess we'll end it right about there. See Antoine Hill in the building as well. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody, but you know, we got to get to the show at some point, right? So he did say life is good, but let me take time out, man, just to acknowledge some things that, you know, are kind of non-football related, man, but I think it's, you know, it's worth noting and talking about, man. First and foremost, you know, prayers up to Bronny James, man. I don't know if everybody heard, you know, yeah, man, Bronny James suffered cardiac arrest yesterday during a practice at USC. Wow, crazy. You know, from the news that we're hearing is he's stable now. He's out of ICU. From what I'm hearing, they're expecting him to be okay. But, man, this is a young kid, right? And we've seen this before. Kenyon reminded Tony and myself earlier that, you know, this has happened to a USC player again. And, again, I'm not putting that on USC. It's just very weird. But, man, you know, prayers up to the James family. Prayers up to Bronny James. And like I said, the family, man, I know they got to be going through it. I couldn't imagine if that's my son. You know, this is when I kind of take that whole celebrity out of it. And I just think about, you know, LeBron James as a man and a father. Whether you hate him or love him, got to feel for him right about now, because that has to be beyond scary. You're talking about a guy who's a physical specimen, hasn't had any type of real ailments, and you're never expecting this from your son. Excuse me. So, yeah, man, prayers up to the James family, man. Hopefully he makes a speedy recovery, and, you know, we'll see what happens from there. Also, man, on some personal news, man, yeah, you know, weird. I'm not going to say any names because y'all know I protect the identities of people, man. But, you know, my wife's good friend, a good friend of hers, called her this morning and told her we found out that her sister, you know, her friend's sister, my wife's friend's sister, was found dead as well, in the home, along with her baby. I mean, a young baby, like an infant, and the other kids in the home found them. So I just want to shoot some prayers their way as well. Again, man, I believe in prayer. I believe prayer is powerful. So I like to speak a lot of these things publicly. So some people might say, well, why are you saying that here? This is why. Speak things out of your mouth, man. Speak it into existence. What a crazy story that is. I guess, you know, we'll find out more to come to figure out what happened there. You know, my guess is the young baby was a result of the mother and her being in the bed. And, man, just prayers up, man. She know who she is. Like I said, I'm not going to say her name here publicly, but in case she hears this, you know I love you. And yeah, man. So yeah, let me just get real quick, man. Real quick, let me just get a little small moment of silence there, man. You know, again, I don't just do it for celebrity causes, even personal situations. So let me do that real quick, man, and then we'll get started. All right, God bless. All right, man. Where should we begin? Training camp is about to be on and popping. I can't wait. I know a lot of you all can't wait. My main topic, my main title that I put there in the title What are the biggest storylines? I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. So I will ask you that question when I get to that topic. So I figure I'll knock out some of these other little topics first, and then we'll get to that one. But man, what a a great time of the year. It's always a phenomenal time, when you're dealing with going into this, I like to call this the real start of the season. I mean, obviously the start of the season is with free agency and all of that type of stuff. But to me, this is the real start, because this is when we really can start talking every week. And we get closer and closer. We're learning about players. We're learning about who's the camp surprise. We're learning about who's not showing up, whether that be rookie or veteran player, and we're just getting that information. And shout outs. I'm gonna give a huge shout out right out the gate, right out the bat. Shout outs to Alex Kozor and the Steelers Depot crew over there, Dave Bryant and the boys, man. But y'all know Alex Kozor is our resident. I'll say our, because it's Steeler Nation. They do it for Steeler Nation. Our resident tramp. Guys, I cannot talk tonight. Our resident training camp attendee, if you will. He's always there giving us that information. I very, very much so encourage you guys, if you haven't already, make sure you tune in to the Terrible Podcast. They do daily recaps of what's happening in training camp. And if you follow Steelers Depot, you got pretty decent trust in Alex Kozor. Whether you agree or disagree, he gives excellent accounts and excellent information. And a lot of times it comes to fruition, as far as what he's seeing. So, yeah, I can't wait for that. And what I might start doing myself, too, is just making some little mini videos off of the information that we hear about and giving my opinion on it, so it doesn't have to wait until Tuesday. So, excellent time of the year. Super excited by that. But some other little small things to talk about really quick. The first one I got to talk about is, what is it they call him? The con artist? Man, Omar Khan. Boy, listen, hindsight is always 20/20, but the Steelers GMs, I'm going back to Kevin Colbert and now to Omar Khan. Y'all seem to have some type of crystal ball that they look into when it comes to these trades. Man, and I'm not making fun of this guy because he's on the PUP list to start the season, but it's crazy. I'm talking about Chase Claypool. Now, some people are going to say, yeah, but you drafted him. Well, yeah, okay, we drafted him. All right, it looked like he had some real potential, and I guess it just never quite panned out. And hold on, guys, really quick. Let me do something really quick. I see that it's not on. Let me turn on my, yeah, here we go. I needed to cut on my, hold on. Let me fix it. I have a noise remover, man, that I use on my microphone. I tell y'all all of my little setup secrets and things like that. Because, like I said, my son is back behind me, behind this wall, playing his Oculus, and he's talking to people. Don't want it to come through the mic too much. But, yeah, man, they have some type of crystal ball. I don't understand how it is that Kevin Colbert, as well as Omar Khan, is able to identify when it's time to trade somebody and stick it to the team that they trade to. We got a donation, man. So round of applause. Oops, I don't even have my round of applause up. Let me get it here. 2 seconds. But we got to give a huge shout out and round of applause, man, to the infamous Tim. Thank you so much for your donation. Thank you so much for that, man. He says, who do you think was our worst starter last year? Whoa. That's a tough one. The one that comes to mind very easily to me is just because if I look at overall production and what things he may have done to cost the team in certain situations, I would probably say Kevin Dotson. Because, Kevin Dotson led the league, if I'm not mistaken, in penalties. And, he wasn't that great. And some people could say, you might want to say, well, Dan Moore in spots wasn't the best offensive lineman. I don't know if you could argue that. But I would say in totality, when I think about some of the bad games that we had, and again, they all came together around the fourth around the last 5 or 4 games. However, we talk about the early part of the year, man, with some of the play and the penalties, I would probably say Kevin Dotson, I might have to call him 69, was the worst starter. I see some people saying Trubisky as well. I see others saying Kenny Pickett. Wow, okay. Listen, I'm not going to, I can't debate any of you guys, but, Kenny Pickett, I guess you could say that too. Early portions of the year, him throwing interceptions and such. His is going to have a little bit of an asterisk on it, in my opinion. I mean, he's a rookie. If you want to say Trubisky, I can understand that as well. But again, in the green, shout outs to you, my brother. You hone in on his 9 interceptions and 7 like you hone in on his stats, which again, it's very important to associate that with his bad play. But most of us in this chat understand that he was a rookie. Maybe not as ready to play. Okay. That's just my opinion. Now some people are going to say, oh, well, what about other rookies? Some rookies have come in the league and they lit it up. But let's remember people like, and I hate to do this because when you do this, people mistake you for comparing. But I mean, Peyton Manning had a horrible rookie season. Josh Allen was really bad in Buffalo until he turned it around. And I'm not saying that Kenny Pickett is going to be Peyton Manning or Josh Allen. I'm just saying, I think a lot of times our opinions are very results biased. I'm not accusing you of that in the green. I'm just saying, I mean, I don't think it's hard for any of us to believe that Kenny Pickett struggled early, threw some intercept. Okay, I'm with you, but I'm not going to beat him up for it the way I would a veteran starter. That's all I'm saying. If we're just talking from a statistical standpoint and you want to say Kenny Pickett was the worst starter, I can't disagree with that either. It's everybody has their own opinion. It's all subjective. So I just would caution you guys for beating him down so much as a rookie quarterback. Let's see what this kid is going to do. If he works out, he does. If he doesn't, oh well. Luis D, round of applause, man. Appreciate the donation. Luis D says, did you see Highsmith press conference where he said he believes Steelers D has the potential of being number 1? Do you agree? Also, who you got on the fight? Spencer Crawford. Oh man, you put me on the spot with that one. I didn't see his conference. My bad. I did not watch it yet. I don't see why the Steelers couldn't have the potential to be top 3 defense in the league. The only reason why I would say that is if you just anchor it on studs that you have up front with Highsmith, TJ, Cam Haywood, Ogunjobi, and others. You got a stud on the back end and Minkah Fitzpatrick. We'll see what happens at the linebacker position as far as inside backer. And you got some solid rookie cornerbacks, a veteran to help them out. You got Levi Wallace, who played well last year. We'll see. I don't know if I can outright say we will be the number 1 defense, but I can understand, number 1, Highsmith is going to say that. You're always going to talk your team up. But I don't think it's hyperbole either, right? I don't think it's it's impossible to think that the Steelers could have an opportunity to be a highly ranked, if not the number 1 ranked defense in the league. I don't think that's impossible, but we'll see. As far as Spencer Crawford, again, I'm going to be quick with this one, guys, because I could talk boxing all night. That's not what we're here for. You guys always find a way to ask me stuff that's not Steeler related, but it's all good. It's hard because I like both of those guys. I really do. Y'all know I'm a huge boxing fan, and I love both of them. There was a time that I thought Spence would walk away with it because he's bigger. Spence, put it like this: if it goes, deep into, 9th, 10th, 11th round, Crawford needs to be careful because Spence has the ability to knock him out. However, I do feel like Crawford is the better boxer. We're just talking about skill-wise, so I think Crawford has the chance to win this fight on points. I think he has the chance to win it on points. Crawford also has the ability to win it on a cumulative knockout, meaning, you know, he can catch you enough times because he's that good of a fighter and he has that dog in him. He's a finisher. So it's going to be a good one. It's hard for me to call, man. You know, I really like Bud a lot. I like them both, so it's hard for me to even root for a guy. But I just think Crawford needs to be careful because Spence ain't no joke either. And he's more subtle, right? But he cannot play. He can't play that game of just going blow for blow with Spence. That ain't gonna be good for Crawford. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if I can really call who I think is gonna win, but we'll see. All right, let's get into some Steelers news, man. So yeah, Chase Claypool. Wow, excellent job getting a second round pick for this guy. You know, Omar Khan as well as Kevin Colbert, and yeah, man, that's all I can say. Excellent job by that crew, because you know, even if you know, I think Colbert was still in the seat when that trade happened, right? Or was that Khan? Somebody correct me on that. At what time period did we trade him? I think that was when Colbert was there. And the reason why I would still give them both credit, because again, you know, Khan was working hand in hand with Kevin Colbert, but I want to make sure I give the right guy the credit. So actually, let me look at the comments. Which one of them traded Claypool? Was that still when Colbert was in the seat? Colbert made the trade. Okay, thank you, Kenya. So yeah, even though I was talking about the Khan artist earlier, I wanted to get it right. So Kevin Colbert, hats off to you, buddy. Wow, that's all I can say. That's all I can say. The next little piece of news here, man. Let's talk a little bit about you know, what seems to always happen with these guys that are kind of not superstars on the team, scrappy guys, even though Mike Hilton did turn himself into a pretty good player. But it seems like dudes always end up going to the Ravens or Cincinnati or whatever when they leave Pittsburgh. And another one bites the dust. Arthur Marlette is scheduled to sign with the Baltimore Ravens. I don't care. That's all I'm going to say about that. I don't care. And that's not a shot at Marlette, but, you know, excuse me. No disrespect to him, but I don't think nobody is concerned about him being on the other side. So what? So what? You know, good luck to you. You know, I haven't heard him say anything. I know the media is trying to drum it up. I don't know if he's made any comments, but whatever, dude. Congrats to you, I guess. And nobody is concerned. Nobody's scared about Arthur Marlette being on the other side of the field, if you will. So that's all I got about that. Got another donation, man. I appreciate y'all. Y'all running it up so far tonight. Round of applause to the infamous Tim. He says storylines. Who's the true number 2, Muth, Pickens, or Johnson? And will the Steelers keep Najee as the bell cow or try running back by committee? Who's the true number 2? Well, trying to think about what the Steelers are going to do. I always have to answer from that standpoint. It doesn't, you know, matter so much what we think. It's what do we think the Steelers think? The true number 2 right now is probably still George Pickens. Why do you say that, some might ask? Well, obviously they're going to try to give Pickens the ball more. We saw what he could do in spots. We saw what he could be. Yes, I do think George Pickens could be a number 1. Absolutely. But if Deontay Johnson is still on the roster, Deontay Johnson is going to be, you know, wide receiver 1. And I think George Pickens, they're going to try their best to feed him the rock as much as possible. Fryermuth as well could be that, but I think, well, it could get tricky because if we go to a lot of 12 personnel, if we want to use Darnell Washington as a blocking tight end and things like that, then Muth could end up being the number 2. Just really depends on what formations we're running more often. But I do think, as I sit here today, I think it would be George Pickens. Let's not sleep on Allen Robinson as well. I mean, you're hearing these reports that Kenny Pickett loves him and he's developing a relationship with him. I know the same stuff that you hear him say every year about players. But I think if I was sitting here today, based off of whatever our offense is capable of, how they finished last season, finishing out strong, I would say clearly, to me, George Pickens has to be your number 2. You're going to get a lot of opportunities with him because they're going to be one-on-one situations with him and Deontay Johnson. I think those are the 2 guys that are clearly capable of winning matchups. So I think the number 2 right now in the Steelers offense and how they're going to run it will be George Pickens. As far as the running back by committee, I think we will see more of Warren, but I definitely do still feel like the bulk share of, the carries is going to go to Najee. I don't think it's going to be a traditional running back by committee, but I think you will see more of Jaylen Warren being featured. I just don't think it's going to be a running back by committee situation where it's clear, where they're giving him half of the share, of the carries and giving him the other share. Nah, I don't think it's going to be nothing like that, but we'll see. Man, here y'all go. Luis D, another donation. Round of applause. No, did not. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm going to let y'all know that I'm one of those people sometimes, man, I just got to sit down and watch stuff. I literally have it in my phone. I got so many things on my need to watch list that is on it. I will get to it soon. I do it with TV as well. Kenyon and Tony would tell you I'm often very behind with them. I was super behind with Game of Thrones. The only thing I kept up with was House of Dragons, because I know Kenyon and Tony wanted me to conversate about that with them in real time, but I'm just bad with that sometimes. I'll tell y'all something else, side note, that I was late on that I just caught up to and I got to watch the last one. Would y'all believe it if I told you I had never watched John Wick? Not one. But in these last couple trips to Florida, I have watched all 3 of the previous ones. Love it so far. And now I have to watch John Wick 4, which I probably will get to this week. But yeah, sometimes that happens with me in TV and movies and stuff like that. So, but no, I haven't seen Polamalu on McFadden. It is in my queue. If I could show it to you here on the phone, that's my little boy right there. If I could show him to you, it's in my queue to watch. So yeah. All right, moving right along, man, because time is ticking. What do we have next? What else do I want to talk to? Some little side comments here. Got to talk about, obviously, got to talk about Joey Porter Jr. finally signing. It's good to see that. From what I saw, he signed a 4-year deal. I think it was worth $9-point-something million. So I'm glad he got it signed. And I really, really do agree with the assessment that I saw, some other people were writing about saying, why it may have taken so long. You got to remember this guy was the 32nd overall pick, which in most years would be first round pick, which we know how football works. If you're drafted in the first round, your contract and your value goes up. So I'm sure there was a tug of war there saying, listen, this guy technically got drafted in the first round. We understand it was the second round, but it was the 32nd pick. So I'm sure that's what the back and forth was. I'm just glad that he got it done before camp starts. So it's a non-issue. It's a non-issue. It's nothing to talk about. They said he was the last unsigned player on the roster. Now all of that drama is behind us. So shout outs and round of applause. Definitely to Joey Porter Jr., Peasy Jr. Glad he got that taken care of, which leads me to the next point. Alex Highsmith signs a 4-year extension, $68 million. I got to give him an official round of applause for that. Let the record show that Kenyon said it, and I concurred, and we've said this a few times. I can hear it just like we said it yesterday. But I remember when Kenyon said Alex Highsmith has the potential to exceed what Bud Dupree was able to do in a much shorter amount of time. I don't think you can disagree with that. And I remember I said, you know what, Kenyon, you're right, because he's already showing, just from his potential. I'm talking like his first season. Just from his potential, and he already, what did we say? We sat right here and said he already has a pass rush plan, the moves that he had. Now he's incorporated the spin move over the last couple seasons, and look where he's at now. His trajectory and his career so far has exceeded, and it was accelerated much faster than what we saw out of Bud Dupree. Some people are gonna say, "Oh yeah, but he was injured." Okay, Alex Highsmith has fought injuries as well. And again, I'm not here to compare apples to apples. It just is what it is. The Steelers found them one, and I know a lot of times we try to, as a fan base, we get on the Steelers for their draft picks, and we saying that they can't do this, they can't do that. Well, let me tell you what they have done over these last few years. They have found themselves some pass rushers. They have definitely atoned for that Jarvis Jones pick. You found TJ Watt, who's arguably, I'm just saying arguably because the argument can be made either way you want to go with it, arguably the best pass rusher in the league, at least one of them. That's what I'm saying. You could argue for your guy too. One of the other top 3 to 4. But arguably best pass rusher in the league. And then you turn around and you get a guy like Alex Highsmith. What was it? Was it the 3rd round, guys? Y'all help me with that. Was it the 3rd round or 2nd round we got him? I think it was the 3rd round. Was it the 3rd round when we got Alex Highsmith out of Charlotte? Somebody correct me with that, man. I love to be fact checked. Come on, man. 2nd. Okay, you said it was 2nd. All right. Come on now. Come on. I don't think y'all can claim that no more for these last, let's say, 6-7 years. I don't think y'all can say the Steelers, have missed. Okay, Destiny said it was see, I thought it was the 3rd. So who's right? Miss Destiny and Mark or Tim? I thought it was the 3rd too. So we need some more of you guys to answer that, to give us the tiebreaker. We need some more people to give us that. Kenyon probably knows that. But yeah, just saying, man. I'm just saying. They found them one. Okay, Smitty says it was a 3rd as well. Okay, as well as Ammon Whitfield. And listen, don't y'all go beating Tim up now. We all make mistakes. Players mess up too. But yeah, man, it's all good. Thanks for fact checking that, guys. But look. Hey, man, yeah. Shout outs to Alex Highsmith, man. I think Alex Highsmith stepped up because myself included, a lot of us was kind of saying, all right, man, we need you to step up. A couple of those years, you're getting close, but we need those numbers to go up. And you got to give him his credit. Yeah, he has TJ on the other side. Okay, I understand that, but you still got to make the sack. And TJ went down for a significant amount of time last year. And his production slowed down a bit when TJ was out because then he was being targeted. But then he still got some sacks up in there even when TJ was out. So you got to give him credit, man. 14.5 sacks. Consistent pressure. This guy has earned it. Let's just hope he continues to do it. I heard or I saw a quote with him saying that, he looks forward to a big season with him and TJ. If they both stay healthy, hey, man, again, with that type of pass rush, the Steelers can be formidable. That helps you back in. So let's see what happens. Another donation from Luis. Round of applause. Thank you very much, sir. He says the Steelers 20 interceptions last year. Do you see them surpassing it? At face value, I would say no, because we lost, a piece of that. Cam Sutton really helped that. Believe it or not, Terrell Edmonds helped that only because, he was able to do other things to allow guys to be in position to get picks. But the only reason why I would say I don't see it right off the bat, because again, you got a rookie guy who's probably going to get some time in PZ Jr. You're just changing up your secondary a little bit. Pat Peterson, can he get some picks in zone? Perhaps, sure. But again, how are we going to utilize these guys? Now, we will have KZ. Hopefully, if he stays injury free, we'll have him more than we did last year. So we'll see. Levi Wallace was a huge contributor of that as well. And here's another point. With having that pass rush, anything's possible. But I just got to say, with having some shakeups in the secondary, I'm going to sit here and say, nah, I don't know if we surpass it. I hope they, pleasantly surprise me. But I'm just going to keep my expectations, modest and say maybe they could do about the same or a little less. So that would be my assessment. Anything's possible. All right. So, let's move on to the next thing, man. Let's see what else I got here before we jump to the phone calls. We talked about Highsmith. We talked about Claypool. What else did we talk about? PZ Jr. Okay. Here's the last one. Biggest storylines going into training camp. So I'll ask you guys that question. Please feel free to put your comments here, and I'll try to read a few of them before we get to the phone calls. But what are the biggest storylines, man, going into camp? I would say definitely the left tackle position. The Steelers are coming in there with a first-round draft pick, a guy that they moved up to get. Is he going to earn himself a starting position, or is he going to play good enough just to be the backup and waiting, right? A guy that they want to groom. Is he going to force himself on the field, or is he going to just do good enough to say, okay, we think he's about there. We just need to trim, round him out a little bit, trim some of that rawness off him and develop him. Or is he going to flop in training camp early? Is he going to be a guy that we're like, ooh, I don't know when he's going to start? Maybe he's a couple years away. So what type of guy is he going to be? Speaking of Broderick Jones, is Dan Moore going to allow that to happen? Okay, we'll see. Another big storyline is, what is Kevin Dotson going to do? Is he just going to relinquish his spot to Siamalu? The reason why I say Siamalu is because, I'm sure James Daniels is going to keep his position unless they're going to flip-flop those guys. But you would think Siamalu is probably going to play the left guard, while Daniels plays right guard. So what happens with Kevin Dotson? Does Kevin Dotson make the team? Does he get beat out by Kendrick Green for rotating left guard? That's a big storyline. One of the biggest storylines is who is going to be the bona fide, certified nickel slot corner. We keep hearing about Elijah Riley, Duke Dawson, all these people. Who's going to be the guy that carves out his lane and we say, oh, he's the starting nickel? That right there, to me, those are some of the biggest storylines. Some of the other storylines are obvious. But I don't think they're huge surprises. What type of role is Joy Porter Jr. going to have? Where they're going to line up Patrick Peterson most of the time? What type of offensive mindset is Canada going to bring this year? All of that stuff is to be expected. But I think, me personally, the biggest storylines are right there on the offensive line, as well as the nickel cornerback. Here's another one that I'm still keeping my eyes on. Inside linebacker. Is Mark Robinson going to get an opportunity to really compete for the starting spot? Can he overtake Landon Roberts? Can he overtake, what's the kid? Why am I forgetting his name from Washington? Cole Holcomb. Cole Holcomb is coming off an injury. I think that's a very big, sneaky, big storyline is who's going to be the starting inside linebacker combination. Man, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. So those will be my biggest storylines. What do you guys think? I'm going to just read a few of them, then we'll get to the calls. Let's see what y'all got, man. Yeah, I saw that Mike Tannenbaum hating on Kenny Pickett. You know, I don't pay attention so much, man, to what others say. You know, if I agree, I agree. If I disagree, I disagree. What I like to do is just, you know, use my own thoughts and my own eye tests and things of that nature, man. You know, in the green says, my biggest question is, where does Calvin Austin fit in? Good question. Very good question. I really like that question as well. That to me, and again, this is not challenging the question because I'm agreeing with you. I don't know if that's as much of a storyline, but that's a heck of a question. Where does he fit in? And the reason why I say I don't think it's a huge storyline only because I think the pieces that we know about are going to be the mainstays on offense. I think Allen Robinson is going to have a much bigger role than people think because they're wanting to use this guy as a big slot. Pickens is not coming off the field. Deontay is not coming off the field. Freiermuth is not coming off the field often. And I think they're going to try to work in Donnell Washington, you know, with his capabilities blocking. So we might see more heavier personnel, more 12 personnel. So that's going to automatically limit some of what Calvin Austin can do. I see Kenyon here saying he'll be the number 4. But the question is where do they use him? Is he a Ray McLeod type? You know, I hope not. I hope they're not using him in spots like that where it's easy to identify 19 on the field. You know what I'm saying? So great question, man. We shall see. Come on, guys. Give me a few more storylines before I open up the call queue. What y'all got? What y'all got? Yep, Kenyon says Roberts will more than likely be the starter alongside Holcomb. Yeah. Anybody else got any good storylines? Am I missing some? Luis D says, I say the middle linebacker position where who's going to play alongside Holcomb. Yep. Smitty says maybe Daniel was four-play backup center. Okay, I'm going to read it like you said it because sometimes I know words are off and autocorrect and all that. I'm going to read exactly what you wrote here and then we'll decipher it. He says maybe Daniels was 4-play backup center because I'm still looking for one. So that's why they keep Kevin Dotson to be the swing guard. Okay, let me try to decipher what you said. Maybe Daniel was 4-play backup. Okay, so I think you're saying maybe Daniels is he's to play backup center. Okay. Maybe. So, you know, so in retrospect, in reality, what you're saying is they don't necessarily keep up a traditional backup center because Daniels can do that. You keep Dotson, so you have a few guys that can play the guard positions. So I think that's what you're saying. Okay. Okay. I'm not mad at that. All right. I don't see you guys commenting on too much of the question there, the biggest topic. So we will move on to the queue. We have a few phone calls. And again, guys, y'all know the routine. Y'all know I don't have to say it each and every week, even though I do. Keep your calls relatively short. As we get closer and closer to the season, I'm expecting more and more phone calls. Y'all know that's usually when it ramps up. So we can't just be talking and talking and talking. All right, keep it short, guys. We're going to start off with one of our favorites, one that we respect so much. This is why I call him Mr. My guy, Mr. Winningham, area code 803. What you got for us?
Good evening. Good evening. I'm glad to talk to you guys and listen to the show. You know, Kevin Dotson's been serious trouble. You were talking about center related. You got 4 guys on the offensive line who can step in at center at any time. You just drafted a guy for Maryland. You mentioned McDaniel. So you got 4 guys who can play that center position. That versatility is what will help you make the team. As training camp comes in, I hope, and I really hope, these guys are safe. We've already lost teams have already lost guys already. Just what you call friendly fire, non-contact injuries. So, this is a time of the year when you get back out there trying to get back into football shape, and those tendons and joints is, they hurt easy to hurt at this point in time. But to start the season, I think that maybe that Dan Moore wins that job because of his success against Myles Garrett, and he's a better pass blocker. But we all know Broderick Jones is a beast on the run. And last but not least, my question is, what do you think with the situation with the pay of the running backs? We are already closing in on getting ready to what we're going to do about Najee Harris in about 2 years. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great week.
Man, thank you, Mr. Winningham. I knew somebody was going to ask that question, so I'm going to be happy to answer that one. And just speaking on what you said about Dotson, I think Dotson is in some trouble, man, and he's going to fight for his life. And hey, if he wins it, then that means good things for us. But speaking about the running backs, man, like you said, we're getting close. What is this, Najee's 3rd year? And I think I said this on the last show. This is his biggest season of his career, man, because we all know year number 3 at the end of that thing is when the Steelers look to do some type of extension if they really want you, long term. And see, the thing with Najee is a 1st-round pick. So if the Steelers so choose to, they got him for 2 more years after this one, if you want to include the 5th-year option. So it's going to be interesting. And my thought is this: I don't want to take too much time. Running backs have been undervalued as far as pay for a long time. Even how you try to write some of these guys off when they get older, and honestly, that is the case sometimes because their body can't always maintain that punishment, especially when you run guys into the ground. Think about dudes like Marion Barber. Remember how that dude, the way he ran the football and how much Dallas used him. I mean, it's just, man, it's tough. But I will say this: if you're going to feature your running back the way some teams do, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, if you're going to run your guy in the ground like that, he deserves to get paid. On the flip side, I think running backs are easier to acquire, right? I think you can find excellent talent in low rounds. You can find excellent talent sometimes undrafted. I mean, the Pacheco kid comes to mind for Kansas City. So I think that's where it's tricky. I do agree they should get paid more in this billion-dollar sport that they're playing in. But especially when teams want to use them the way the Steelers use their running back. If you're going to use them like that, they deserve to get paid. But on the flip side, if you want to go cheaper and undervalue them, underpay them, then don't run them in the ground. Just keep recycling every 2-3 years. But pay those guys, man, that are the bell cows for their teams. Come on, man. You got to do better than that. Next up, area code 318. What you got for us?
Well, what's up, Bob?
What's going on, man?
Oh, nothing much. Shoot. The position battle I'm really looking forward to is 2 of them. The inside linebacker, and who's going to be the rotation when Highsmith and T.J. Watt come out. So who's going to be like the other 2 pass rushers? So I'm interested in that. And you mentioned Arthur Marlette. You're not worried about him. Man, don't say that because it be them certain players that I feel like they're gonna do awful all season, but when they play us, he might get a pick six. But nah, that's really the two. I know, right? Yeah, that's really the two positions I wanted to just focus on training camp. Y'all have a good night.
Oh man, appreciate the call. And you are absolutely right, man. As soon as we say we ain't worried about somebody, that's when they do something, right? Didn't Mike Hilton get us? Not for a pick six, but I think one of them times since he left, he got an interception or a sack or something. So yeah, you're right, but nah, he don't scare me, man. But you are definitely right. So we got to be careful how we talk. Don't speak things into existence. Next up, area code 757. What you got for us?
How you doing, brother? You all right?
Yes, sir. What's going on?
Not much. Appreciate the show, man. Love it. Look forward to it. Hope you had a good vacation. Got a couple things I want to run by you. I understand everybody talks about the running back position, and people seem to think that you can just grab a running back off the street type thing, and it's going to be an effective running back. Well, not every running back can block, pick up the blitz. Not every running back can catch out the backfield. That's going to separate. Not every running back has that vision, has that wiggle, you know what I'm saying? And it's crazy. Najee is doing this thing with a garbage offensive line that we had. I'm excited for dude this coming season. Also, when it comes to that running back by committee thing, I want to know how you feel about that, because the offensive line needs cohesiveness. They need time to gel. They get used to a running back style of running. Look at Le'Veon. Le'Veon never had the success when he left Pittsburgh because those offensive lines weren't geared toward his running style. That's how it went down. So when you putting Najee in, then flip him out with, Jalen, that can, mess up the rhythm. I understand that you got to give him a rest, but you can't just flip-flop all day long. That's one thing, how you feel about that. My second thing is this, the inside linebacker. I'm so concerned about it because that is actually what they consider the quarterback of the defense, right? Well, if you got the quarterback of the defense, and yeah, anybody can, look at the plays and see this and whatever, but we consistently play against, the league is like this now. Tight ends, you have to account for them. You have to cover them. Inside linebackers, whatever the case is, you got to cover that tight end. We get burnt. Holcomb, he's good on the run. Watch his film. In the coverage, straight liability. I don't know how Mark going to be in it, but I'm just curious how or who you think would be the better fit, to help us with that. Because when you play teams like the Patriots, even though I couldn't even tell you who they tight end is now, but Belichick seems to know we're a sucker for a tight end, you know what I'm saying? And coming across the middle or whatever, then they want us, our middle inside linebackers to cover, these speedy receivers or running backs out the backfield. Holcomb is stiff. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is, but I don't know if he got arthritis or what, but we need to do something. And, I want to know what you feel, who you think is a better fit for that. I appreciate you taking the call, brother. Keep doing it.
No problem, man. Thanks for the call, and shout out to 757. Y'all know I'm born and raised in VA, so it's always love to my VA brethren. Running back by committee, you make an excellent point. That's always a concern. For those of you guys that don't know what he was saying, in case you didn't hear him, he said, when you flip-flop and running backs, and sometimes the offensive line, they adjust to one guy. Le'Veon Bell was the excellent example that he gave, because our offensive line, I remember Ramon Foster literally saying, we're kind of used to Le'Veon and him stopping and literally standing there and waiting for the hole to open and then going through it. They knew they had to maintain a position a little longer because of his style. So it's tricky. Maybe with the scheme that we run now, I know with Pat Meyer, he's kind of introduced some of that zone blocking, and it allows the running back to adjust to that. So maybe it doesn't hinder it as much, but that is an excellent point. And that's why sometimes that running back by committee thing is hard. You know, that's why a lot of times you'll see guys, think about like Tony Pollard. It used to be committee, but then they started sticking with more one guy, even though they both played, to keep that cohesiveness going. So it is kind of tricky when, you know, you want to introduce a real running back by committee and not have one guy really stand out as the, you know, the bell cow. So could it work? Sure. But that is something that you have to be concerned with. And then his second point, man, man, I don't know. You're right. I like Cole Holcomb. A lot of you guys have heard me say that before. I liked what he did in Washington, especially his earlier years. That dude is all over the field. But, you know, is he going to be your best opportunity, you know, covering tight ends? Is any inside linebacker outside of Fred Warner, and maybe a couple others, but Fred Warner comes to mind. So I don't want to get lost in that, even as a fan. Sometimes, you know, I'll get on some of our inside backers, but that's not an easy cover for 90% of the inside linebackers. You know, you just happen to find a dude like Fred Warner. We had a guy in Ryan Shazier that could do that. You know, those dudes are hard to find. Your Luke Kuechly's of the world. I think what we do is, I think that's where we infuse and utilize guys like Neil, KZ, you know, use a third safety in a lot of those situations, and see if you can make do that way. You know, sometimes that's what you got to do. You know, again, it takes me back to when, you know, I think it was it Cam Chancellor back in the day, you know, when the Legion of Boom went up against New England and they just had Cam Chancellor just follow Grunk. You know, sometimes you got to get creative with these tight ends that kill, you know, like the Mark Andrews types. So I think that's what you do, man. You try to put one of those safeties on them if they're capable of doing it. And if not, you do this. And you hope TJ or Highsmith or Big Cam or somebody get home. So those are my thoughts. Last call of the night, man. We'll end it with a 412, a Pittsburgh area code. Always showing love to those folks. What's going on, 412? What you got for us?
What's good? Snow calling it.
What's good, man?
First off, I wanted to say R.I.P. to Marion Barber. That was one of my favorite running backs.
Yeah.
And I'm just piggybacking off what y'all was talking about. Mike Hilton did have a pick six against Ben going to James Washington. I've been watching a lot of old film, bro. And another thing, I think Arthur Mollett will get killed trying to watch Pickens one-on-one. I'm not saying he ain't going to be doing all right against us, but you know how I felt about him when we talked last time. Mm-hmm. He's not that good in coverage. You know what I mean? And another thing, the linebackers, like, I feel like you, bro. I like Cole Holcomb a lot. If he could stay healthy, I mean, the linebacker is probably our weakest point right now, but we just don't know. A lot is unknown. You know what I mean? But I'm going to be at camp every day until after they put the pads on. And I'm going to have all the info we going to need on this. You're going to have your outlets, but I'm going to be right there firsthand to see what's going on. You know what I mean? So I really don't got a lot of insight right now. Ain't nothing going on, but I'm tuned in, bro. I ain't no podcaster, but I'm tuned in.
Man, we definitely appreciate that because we need somebody on the front lines and not have to always rely on these other outlets.
For sure. And I'm going to have it all. I told you I'm going to send you footage and all that just so you up on everything.
Man, definitely appreciate that. Appreciate the call, man. You already know we always going to bow down and show love to our 412 folks, man. That's Pittsburgh area, Pittsburgh natives. You know, they live where our team plays. So you always got to take their perspective in it. And for real, you know, I can take these off now. Like when I've gone to Pittsburgh, man, and I like going up there and spending time up there, man, before the games and after the games and getting the pulse of the people. Like the people know. Just think about how you feel about your city, right? And how you know your city. So imagine taking that and applying that to your city having a ball team, you know, like baseball, football, basketball, whatever it is. They are the culture. So I love talking to the natives, man, and the people in the Pittsburgh area and getting their perspective. You know what I mean? Especially when our perspectives link. Love it. I love it. So appreciate that always. Anybody who's repping Pittsburgh in that way, that call and follow the show, it's an honor. It's an honor because, you know, y'all are giving me the space to speak on behalf of your team. You know what I mean? So love it. Love it. Love it. But yeah, man, let's get to some of the comments here. Looks like I didn't beat my time. I beat it. It's 3 minutes, but obviously I'm going to be here maybe a little more than 3 minutes. So we're right on schedule, I guess. But yeah, like Destiny commented to what I said, man. And I just wrote to her. I agree. I think a lot of times we do overblow the inside linebacker. We're guilty of it. I've done it. I've done it as well in the past. And, you know, it's coming back to reality. It's kind of what I say about Troy Polamalu, right? And in the strong safety position, how we just killed our strong safeties, right? But we're comparing him to a phenom. Okay, we're comparing every safety, free or strong, matter of fact, since Troy, we're comparing them to Troy. And it just doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen where you have two dynamite safeties. That happens every once in a blue. It doesn't always happen when you get a Ryan Shazier, a freakish athlete, freakish speed, good size, good weight, super IQ. Like, it don't happen every day. Ain't a whole lot of Fred Warners in the league. And I said these names before, him and Luke Kuechly. Ain't a lot of them dudes in the league. They just not. You know what I'm saying? More so what you see is like Roquan and Patrick Queen. You know, these dudes that can lurk and, you know, they're all over the field against the run. But, you know, are they guarding all of the tight ends downfield? No, not to the degree that we're expecting them to do it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, sometimes I think we get a little ahead of ourselves. We can definitely give the feedback, no question. And we can talk about where a guy's not good at. Because some guys, they don't have to be great in coverage, just be in position. So we can still critique them. But sometimes I think when we talk about how well a guy can cover, we're expecting them to be out there with a blanket. You know, and it just don't exist like that. So, yeah. A couple other things I just wanted to say real quick, man, as I look over here to the comments. Excuse me. You know, I had my family reunion on my mother's side this past weekend, and almost I was this close to meeting my younger cousin, Javon Holland of the Miami Dolphins. I almost was this close to meeting him. He was supposed to be there. And I told you guys the story before. I've never met Javon, younger than me, obviously. I never met him because, you know, my cousin, his mother and father, they live on the West Coast. You know, they grew up on the West Coast in Cali and stuff like that. So just by happenstance, never got a chance. I think I was probably around him when he was a young kid, you know, at probably the prior family reunion, the last time I saw his mom, but I don't remember. But anyway, he was supposed to be there, man, and some things happened with his flight, and it didn't happen. But it would have been cool just to meet him and yada, yada, yada. And, you know, but I really wanted my young son to meet him because, you know, ever since he found out we were family, oh my gosh, this kid, he is all Steelers and Dolphins. Like anything relative to Javon Holland, he's all on it because that's his cousin. But what I did get to do, man, is I did meet his father. You guys remember one of our followers here is Javon's father's cousin. And that's how I ended up linking back with the father, texted him a few times, and finally met him this past weekend. And then obviously his mom, which is my cousin, you know, I hadn't seen her in many years, you know, gave her a hug and yada, yada, yada. And they chopped it up with my son and all of that. So it was cool, man. It was cool. But I was hoping I was going to be able to come here and tell y'all, man, my little man was able to meet Javon Holland. And anybody who's here new, you know, I've said this before, my veteran folks here know this. Javon Holland, safety for the Miami Dolphins, is a cousin of mine, a younger cousin. Have not met him, Again, he grew up on the West Coast, but it kind of came up in conversation, and there you have it. So some of you, I know some of you guys knew that I was going to a reunion, and maybe y'all were wondering, oh man, was he there? He wasn't. And so shout outs to young Cuz. I hope he does his thing. There we go, Lau. My man Lau's in here. There we go, man. Yeah, Lau, I got a chance to meet his father. Again, I try not to say names and stuff like that. I try to protect everybody's identity. His name is probably out there because he played Canadian ball as well. And also, Lau, he told me what they call you, your nickname. So that's cool, man. So yeah, somehow we are cousins some kind of way. You and I, you're his father's cousin. I'm his mother's cousin. So yeah, we are the fake cousins, as you would say. But yeah, man, it was a good time chopping it up. There you go. Okay. Yeah, there you go. That's what they say. I didn't know if you wanted to say that or not, but he was telling his mom, the father, when I was talking to him, he was like, yeah, this is the one. This is the one that Booby was telling us about. And she was like, yeah, I know. As soon as you said his name, I knew who you were talking about. But yeah, it was a cool moment. But as I wrap that up, love on your family, guys. Because the sad part about it, like I said, it was my mom's side of the family. And, trying not to get choked up here, but as you guys know, my mom is no longer with us. And they had a memorial table with all of the people, who's passed over the years. And it's like, man, and we hadn't had a family reunion on that side since 2009. And so much has happened in that time. So I would just say, make sure you guys are loving up on your family, your loved ones, your friends, whoever you love, as much as you can, man. You enjoy the time that you have with them, because you just never know. You never know. You just never know. So it was really cool, man. Really cool having that reunion. It hurt with my mom not being there, and my aunt, my mom's sister, oh man, it was bad, because they had this segment where they were doing the memorial thing, and they had my grandfather was one of 11. They had somebody speak for each member of the family, and when she got up there and saying how she's like only one left in that immediate family, it was rough. It was a rough one, man. But just enjoy your families, man. All right, so I'll spend a few minutes in here, man. See what y'all got. Any comments? My man Rel Fax, he says, wish we would have moved on from Canada, hoping the offense is more productive this year. But if it struggles, again, he'll be used as a scapegoat for however Kenny performs, good or bad. Yeah, and I'm with you. I'm with you, Rel Fax. In reality, I wouldn't have minded if the Steelers went a different direction. Like, we're not talking about it that much, but the Ravens, I didn't think the Ravens would go in a different direction, seeing what Greg Roman was able to do with Lamar. And they did. Now, I don't know if Roman was fired or whatever. I don't know. But I would have liked to have possibly seen a change, even though it's a little harder on Kenny going into his second year. But, we know the Steelers. We know the Steelers don't fire. This is Canada's last year. So he's either going to be retained or not. So... what else? Eric McDuffie says, if Canada and the old struggles, Canada won't make it through this. No. Don't count on that, McDuffie. Now, listen, I'm not saying it can't happen. All I'm saying is it doesn't happen, right? So if that were to happen, if they struggled and he got fired mid-season, that would be something that we have not seen from Steeler Nation. So I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. If anything, he just wouldn't be retained. But again, I'm open for all new things to happen. So what else y'all got? Yeah, Kenyon just said it. Lau says Steelers always plan ahead on coaches and players. Yeah, that is a fact. How you been, by the way, Lau? You been good? The best thing about Canada this offseason is that you haven't heard from Canada this offseason. Whew. Those words can't be any truer. Okay, that's what's up, Lau. Glad to hear that, man. A quick funny moment, Lau, at the reunion. You know, we had it at a center, and they had an inside court, and it was a moment when your cousin was showing my son, you know, how to play some ball, and they was playing pig. It was a cool little moment, man. And you know, he was telling me how that's kind of what he does now, is he teaches sports to kids and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. C. Antoine Hill says, who would you pick for OC? I don't know, man. I'm being honest. Y'all know when it comes to that, I don't really know the coaching pool until I kind of see what they've done elsewhere in the NFL, you know, but if they're successful somewhere else, then we probably don't have a chance. I never really know that. You know, I don't pay so much attention to that. You know, I would love a guy that kind of has a mindset of like a you know, Kyle Shanahan type, you know. I would like to see that type of mentality. Even a creativity like a Andy Reid. Again, I mean, you know, I'm naming these dudes who are excelling, but I'm just saying, you know, I don't know the coaching pool to be able to say, you know what I'm saying? I don't really follow the head coaches and the offensive plans in college like that to really know. That's just not really my forte. What else y'all got? And I'm gonna give it maybe about 2 more minutes. Just look at the first couple of games. You know, he said just look at the last couple of games last year. Okay, Rajon, what did you say before that? You said I think Canada will be okay. Yeah, and that's the thing too, man. Look, Canada might break out of that shell. You know, and maybe I'll end it with this, right? My biggest criticism that I've had about Canada was his situational play calling, right? That's number one. And number two, I felt like he also didn't scheme up a lot of routes, especially in key situations. So those two things go hand in hand. A lot of time when we got down third and long, I'm speaking previously, he would go verticals, right? All vertical routes, whether they were fly routes or they were deep comebacks. And I mean, everybody running them. I'm like, okay, you got everybody going deep and there's only one check down out of the back. Like, can we get some creative route combinations? However, I do understand offensive line plays a role in that. But what you did see a lot of times, I have to admit, later in the season, I started seeing route combinations that were being dialed up. And I was like, okay, that has improved. Because what I never did is I never judged Canada just by the result of the play. I know a lot of people do that. Y'all know I like to call people highlight watchers. That's not a diss. Everybody doesn't watch football intently. But some people are highlight watchers. Oh, that play didn't work. It sucked. No, let's look at the design of the play. Maybe the defense made a good play. Maybe we didn't execute it. We always got to look at those facts. So I would look at his play calling, and I wouldn't like what he would do situationally. And on top of that, which is pretty much one and the same, I didn't like the route combinations. And this was early on in the season and definitely before last season. But later on in the season, when I'm looking at the film, I'm like, okay, Canada, I see what you did there. So I say all that to say, listen, if the offense plays like they did the last 5 games of the season, we need to produce more points. But I'm just talking about being efficient with running the ball. Then I think you might start seeing more things open up. We'll see. It still definitely comes down to Canada. And again, it comes down to the criticisms I just gave him. Situational play calling and his route combinations. That's going to determine how successful he is as a play caller. The rest of it is going to be execution and Kenny Pickett. And we shall see. So I'll go ahead and wrap it up with that, man. One last thing. Lau, I got to read his comment. He says, Canada has had enough time to adapt his offense to the pro level. Don't see much improvement. His seat has fire under it. I can't disagree with that. But we'll see. You know, as they say, ride off of that momentum of the last 5 games of the season when y'all was making a push. We'll see. We shall see. But I will say this. We're going to have to score way more points because them boys in the AFC ain't playing. So we're going to have to be a 24-point plus type of team in order to compete. You know, and you got to score at least that amount of points to keep the defense off the field some. So we'll see. But training camp starts tomorrow, guys. Make sure you're sticking to Steelers Depot. I'm always going to endorse them because I think they're the best in the business in terms of coverage and consistency with coverage and the depth of coverage. So make sure you tune in to Steelers Depot. Make sure you tune into the Terrible Podcast. And I know when there's training camp, they do a podcast nightly. So stay plugged in. If I get any little information that I feel is worth me coming and talking about, I would do some pre-recorded videos as well and post those. So stay connected. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. Please do that if you don't do anything else. And outside of that, man, like I said, make sure you guys love on your families, love yourselves, live to the fullest. Stay healthy, stay safe, and God bless, man. Thank you guys, like always, for tuning in to Terrible Towel Tuesday. And I shall see you guys soon. All right, y'all be good. Peace.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.